What's going on, podcast family? Just wanted to say what's up and drop this on you guys on a Sunday. Hopefully you guys are having a phenomenal Sunday. And I had a great conversation with Dr. Jason Hahn. He's the owner of HealthFit. It's a place that's pretty unique, man, because there's a chiropractor. Well, that's his wife. He's a physical therapist, and they also have strength coaches in there. I think it's a beautiful marriage to kind of have all three of those type of specialties under one roof to really help someone recover and rehab. And on top of that, he also has a lot of experience working with a lot of elite-level pros. So, you know, he did some time with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and now he's currently with the LAFC, and he also worked with the Circus Soleil athletes over there. So we get into all of it, man. Really fun conversation. I'm shooting this out of the airport, so if you hear the background noise, that's what's going on. But with that said, let's get into it. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and feel free to connect with Dr. Jason or myself in the show notes. I'll have links to reach us both. And if you love it, if you like the conversation, even if you love the conversation, you should definitely leave a note. But if you like it, you should tell a friend, right? But that said, let's get into it. Having conversations with people about what they're up to, especially around healthcare. I think it's a space that's evolving. It's a space that guys like yourself are doing things differently, and people should know about, man. So welcome on to the podcast.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So, man, I like to start off with trying to get people to really know you better a little bit, and you know, it's called the Real Value Exchange. So if you have any values that are principles that are heavy for you, or things that you're passionate about right now, what type of things are you into? It could be anything too.
I think the main thing right now is just showing gratitude. You know, it's been a road as far as the business and building that and all these different things I have going on right now. I own the business with my wife, who's a chiropractor. I'm the head physical therapist for the LA Football Club. So I essentially have 2 full-time jobs. I have a daughter.
How old?
My daughter is 2.5.
Oh man, young too. Yeah.
And then
you're a busy man.
We have a little boy coming up in December.
Oh, congratulations!
So
bro.
A lot of things going on, in addition to some deaths in our family recently. So
sorry to hear that.
It's really like showing gratitude to what you have every day, and just trying to live it to its fullest. And then I write this quote from my brother-in-law that passed every day in my journal, and it says, "Everyone dies, but not everyone lives." So it's like really taking that to heart every single day, just to make the most of it, so you don't dwell on the little things.
So true, man. You know, it's thanks for sharing that too. I mean, because I think the gratitude play is thrown around a lot, but people don't really embrace it,
right?
Truly, and try to get their arms around it. I lost my mother-in-law earlier this year, and it really is one of those life-stopping type moments where like the world just kind of ceases. You know what I mean? And there's only a couple things that matter. Yeah. Like you really only care about. I was telling my wife, kind of at most days, there's only 5 things. I think that really kind of come down to it. A lot of ancillary things you want to see happen,
right?
But only a couple heavy hitters, right?
Yeah, it's a funny story. Maybe it's not funny, but like when I met my wife, and then one of the first talks my parents had with her were like, "Hey, we're so glad Jason has you now." And then she's like, "Why?" And he goes, "Because he's not as selfish." And then I look back and look up, you know, trying to get through school, trying to do athletics, and it's all about you. And then as you get older, or not even older, and you're trying to have your own family and trying to do well with business and help other people, it's not about you. It's about helping other people, and hopefully it reciprocates itself and helps you in the long run. So
that's so true. Most people start businesses thinking that they're about to be like the boss and kind of run it, but what you quickly realize is that even like the best companies out here these days, like the Amazons that are dominating, if you look at their mission statements, it's like we're doing what's best for the end user always.
Right.
You know, and that's what the best business owners do too. It's like, man, it's not about trying to serve your own, you know, selfish wants or needs and pad your pockets as fat as you want them. I mean, people do that, and that could be one of those byproducts. But the best guys I feel like are the guys that are like, all right, what's the end person going to benefit from?
Right. Definitely.
Yeah. Cool, man. So, all right, take me back memory lane a little bit. Take me back to where you're from originally, and how did you end up becoming a physical therapist?
I'm a local guy. I grew up in Monterey Park, which is pretty much 10, 15 minutes from here.
I mean, so you're home.
Yeah, this is home.
Yeah.
So I grew up here, and after high school, I left. I went up to Berkeley for my undergrad.
I'm sorry to hear that. No, I'm
Where
playing.
you
no, about playing. No, I'm playing. It's just the whole, Northern Cal versus like Southern Cal.
got it. Well, I came back down, so
Okay, yeah.
Went to Berkeley. During that time, I was heavy into competition. I was on the U.S. national team for Taekwondo.
Oh, wow.
So I was on the national team for about 7 years. So I made my first men's national team when I was a freshman in college. So I fought all through undergrad, and then after that, I moved to Colorado Springs, where I trained at the Olympic Training Center. So after that, I retired after a few years, and I went to physical therapy school in St. Louis at Washington University. Mm-hmm. After that, I did a sports physical therapy residency in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So I was with Pitt Sports Medicine and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Did you work with Coach Gee up there at all? Coach Guimont and who's the other?
Yeah. Strength. Yeah.
So he's a strength coach, and I forgot the head athletic trainer.
Marcel
was there, but Marcel Pastor. Who's the other? I forgot his name. John Norwig.
Yeah, Norwig. He was head athletic trainer.
I worked with those guys pretty good too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good, really good people up there.
Very good.
Yeah.
What was your?
So they actually use several of our products, but I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, and so every time I kind of have a different product that I think is great, I always go back home.
Okay, so you hang out at UPMC just a little bit.
Absolutely, man. I went to Pitt for a while, I was down in Oakland and doing all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I lived in Shadyside.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, super cool, man.
And when we worked at the sports med place down on the south side.
Yep, right on the water.
Yeah, so I was there. I was with them the year after they beat Arizona in the Super Bowl.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah, so
2012 or something like that? Was that 12?
I'm trying to think.
12, 13 maybe?
It's a long time ago.
But first of all, it's cool.
Oh, man. I can't remember now. But
it's going to be in that bubble somewhere.
But that was, I think I was really fortunate enough to, we had some legends. We had Hines was there, Troy, James Harrison. James Harrison, when he got that big deal. You had Willie Parker, you had Richard Mendenhall, you had all these guys. So it was cool to be there when there was like the heavy hitters.
Yeah, man.
Just to see that, yeah.
And in the prime, too. I remember talking to Coach Gee because I was a big James Harrison fan. And I was just like, man, he's like, and I'm like, Coach, like, what's he doing? What's his, what's his training routine like? Because I actually cared about how I looked back then. Now I just like, come on, looking like whatever. But honestly, he's like, yeah, man, he's there, 4:30 every day or like 5 o'clock every day. Mm-hmm. But like Coach Gee he downplayed like, oh yeah, it's just what everybody does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's cool to kind of be around that type of mentality.
Right. Everyone's different. And then I think, at least in the mentality in NFL, like all these guys lift.
Yeah.
And if you look into other sports, basketball, they may not lift as much. And I'm in soccer now. So, it's trying to make a culture of it.
Yep.
For a lot of these guys, especially if they come from different countries. Mm-hmm. But I think we can all agree that strength conditioning is an integral part, but you have to make it work towards the demands of that particular sport.
Yeah.
So,
makes sense. I mean, so I want to kind of go back a little bit too. Whenever you were training, why'd you stop doing Taekwondo, or do you still practice now?
I don't practice so much.
Okay.
What was I retired in 2005, so I was about 25 years old. So I was on the national team from 18 to 25.
Okay.
And at that point, I felt that I needed to move on to a professional career.
Yeah.
And
you felt the pressure of kind of...
Yeah, like...
It's time to move on, time to...
Make a living and not... Because Taekwondo didn't pay.
Right.
So it wasn't like... It wasn't like something I could totally rely on, But it was a really good decision, and people always talk about like, what if you waited till 2008 to go to Beijing and all that kind of stuff. But I would have made the same decision if I went back now.
You think so?
Yeah.
It's funny. So I just started training jiu-jitsu right down the street actually, mm-hmm. and it's just like there's an understanding and like a peace that you kind of get when you train those type of sports, mm-hmm. and a lot of like I feel like some of the most humblest guys, right? I mean, they know their stuff though,
Right.
And the guys that kind of come out are boastful and braggadocious about it. Mm-hmm. Those guys don't know crap, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
right.
But I think that those sports really expose it to the fullest.
Yeah, I think in general, like why I want my kids to do martial arts is number one is discipline.
Yep.
You have to be humble. You have to you're not always bragging about what you can do. You know, you kind of let your actions speak for themselves, and let your actions do it, not necessarily your words.
Right.
So I think, and if you can take those lessons and bring them on to like your everyday life, it's just going to make you a better person.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really believe that every kid should actually do some type of martial arts discipline, whatever they would choose. But it's just there's a confidence of being able to control yourself and really know yourself in it.
Absolutely.
Not even about what you can do to somebody else, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But just knowing that, I can handle myself enough, you know what I mean? And I don't have to kind of tense up because I'm getting, bullied or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just get fast enough where you can run away.
Exactly. That's the best defense, bro.
Exactly. No one's going to touch you.
Yeah.
Just get some stamina so you can keep going.
Exactly. If they can't catch you, that's the best defense, man. All right, cool. So that's kind of how you ended up getting into like physical therapy then, kind of after playing the sport, and then you kind of...
Yeah, and I've been through my share of injuries. I think a lot of physical therapists, that's kind of the story. Like they got hurt, they kind of saw what it was like to be on the rehab side. And so that was one thing I enjoyed. I think another part that I enjoyed was having a lot of face-to-face time with the person. And I developed a really good bond with my physical therapist, my athletic trainers. On the other side is like, okay, I want to be a surgeon. I want to do this. And in retrospect, I don't remember any of my surgeons' names.
Interesting.
Because you're literally asleep when they do their work, and then you come out, and it's not even them greeting you most of the time. It's like a fellow. Yep. So I really appreciated the time and the effort that the actual rehab professional put into it. Mm-hmm. And granted, it doesn't pay as much as a surgeon or whatnot, but it's about being happy and doing what you love to do.
What was your most traumatic injury that you went through? What was the one that kind of got you for real?
From a rehab standpoint?
Yeah. Or even just experiencing.
I've torn both my MCLs and my knee.
Okay.
So that rehab was difficult in the sense because what we did was we were kicking. Yeah. So your knee is really important as far as that torque. I've had a microfracture surgery on my ankle. I've separated my shoulder. I've separated my AC joint. I've broken my nose. I've fractured my cheekbone.
Yeah.
And then there was no real rehab to that one. But the scary thing was I was in Belgium when that happened. And that was the first trip that my dad didn't go to.
Okay.
And I got knocked out.
Oh, really?
So
how old were you?
I was 19.
Okay.
19 or 20.
Yeah.
And then I remember getting knocked out. I'm carried out. I was in the hospital overnight.
Like cold? Like not like conscious, or just kind of knocked out? Then you came to?
I came to pretty quick.
Okay.
But I just remember calling my dad, and then he was freaking out. And I can only imagine if I'm a parent now, if that were to happen to my child.
Yeah.
And but the crazy thing was, at least like part of the bone that broke was literally a centimeter or two from my optic nerve. So I was like, oh, I'm lucky for this one. So, but it all turned out okay.
Hey, awesome, man. So. I mean, there's something about, I'm not saying that moms don't have to be there either, but there's something cool about whenever your dad watches you take part in sports.
Right.
Like I was garbage at baseball, but my dad still came to all the stuff. You know what I mean? Even though he was always working, you know what I mean? I always know my dad to be a worker. Mm-hmm. Like never like the guy who just kind of got all free time in the world. He wasn't laying around at all. And so for him to go to all my garbage baseball games, and then when I was decent in like football, him started kind of come out for those. That was pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like it always sticks with you, right?
Yeah. Family support, because it really does set the standard for what you want to do as you grow up. And for me and this business is trying to create a life where when my daughter goes and plays AYSO or whatever she wants to do, like I'll be there.
Yep.
So, those are those little internal drivers that are always there, and you always have to use them for motivation.
1,000%, bro. All right, man. So, I think you guys are doing some interesting stuff here, though, that I really kind of want to just get your thoughts on why you chose that approach. Because not normally, maybe I shouldn't say it like this, but at least the outward perception of this seems like that there's a battle between chiropractic and like physical therapy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like as if there's like, one is kind of challenging the other. But I think some of the more forward thinkers are more so looking at them. They're like, hey, it's not a battle. It's almost like a 1-2 punch. You know what I mean?
Right,
and we're on the same side of the fence.
Yeah.
Why'd you guys choose to have both under one roof?
Well, like I said, I'm a physical therapist and my wife's a chiropractor.
That helps.
So when we first started dating, she didn't think it would work because we were from different professions.
Yep.
And I always looked at it as, if you're good, you're good, no matter what you do. And if you're good at joint mobilizations like a chiropractor, but you still have the skills from the exercise standpoint, use them.
Yeah.
I go, it's not only physical therapists that can do quote unquote exercise. So I think that moving forward and just having the ultimate goal of helping people, the two professions can learn from each other. And at least from the physical therapy side, it's very mechanical and Western. Mm-hmm. And I think from the chiropractic side, because they take a holistic approach, it's a little bit Eastern in that sense, where the Western side might think that's a little foo-foo.
Yep.
But there's a reason why they're successful. And there's a reason why the Western side's successful. So why not blend the two and just have a better understanding of both and pick and choose what you can use and learn from each other. But at the same time, I don't think one profession is going to like take over the other one. Right. Because there are certain things that my wife does that like blows me out of the water. And I'm like, I'd rather focus on the things that I'm good at.
Yep.
So that's why we have both professions here. That's why we have strength and conditioning specialists here to fill that whole gamut of getting a person to their ultimate goal. So
tell me some more about your actual vision for your actual clinic, because you're right. I mean, I would totally get on board with that. I think there's limitations and, places that people will excel doing one type of school of thought, right? Mm-hmm. And then you bring in the actual exercise around it as well, which I think buttons it up really nice.
Right.
I mean, so how'd you kind of what was your vision for the practice and why'd you kind of choose that model? I mean, was that something that you and your wife kind of talked about while you were dating, or something that you already always had in you?
Well, I think ultimately it's based on my experience in pro sports.
Okay.
So with the Steelers, after that, I was with Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
And then
those were athletes too, man.
Yeah, super athletes. And it's the weird thing about joining, not the weird thing about, that's not weird. They are weird. Yes, but yeah, they're freaks. But it was like, it was a different mentality. You go from football or American football, and then you're playing one game a week, right? So your ultimate goal is to win.
Yeah.
Where you go to Cirque du Soleil, which is a performing art, where they're performing multiple days a week, and what they strive for is perfection.
Interesting.
So you can say American football players are striving for perfection, but it's not like a performing artist where day in and day out, like it's crazy how, okay, let's say they mess up on a move that the audience didn't even pick up on.
Yep.
But they beat themselves up. It is
really
crazy, and you're like, huh, this is a different mentality. So you learn a little bit about people, but at the same time, you get to learn they're different from a mechanical standpoint. They're different arts. If they're an acrobat or a dancer or a contortionist, and understanding all of those different pieces, I think, made me a better therapist.
Yeah.
And so essentially, I looked at these realms, and then when our Cirque du Soleil show closed, I had to make a decision whether I stayed with Cirque du Soleil and moved to Vegas,
yep,
or worked in a clinic, which dictated the way I was treating and made me treat 2 to 4 people an hour where I couldn't give that one-on-one attention that I wanted, or try to start something on my own. And at that point, there was a guy named Jared Carter who wrote a cash-based physical therapy book.
Yeah,
it was an ebook.
Yeah, and
I bought that ebook, and I knew our show wasn't going to close in a few months, so I bought that book, and I was reading it. I'm like, is this doable? Is this feasible? And so when the show closed, I essentially said, okay, look, I'm going to take what I have in this book, and I'm going to just go all in for a year And then I was like weighing out, should I do part-time in a clinic and then open up my own thing on the side? I was like, no, I have enough saved up to live for a year. So let's give this one a shot. So that's where I started.
That's awesome, man. And it's funny. So my wife has been a long time dancer, still loves to dance, but she doesn't, teach anymore the way she used to. And she's always, like, every time we go out and we just have dinner with folks, she's always preaching how dancers are real athletes, Right. And of course, me being a former personal trainer for years, I mean, I'd be like, yeah, sure,
Yeah, all right.
yeah. Because you don't want to start a fight. You're like,
right.
You're like, I just want to keep tonight easy. I don't want it to be that type of night. But it's true though. Like the more and more I kind of understand what these people that are on stage or what they're up to and how they challenge themselves. And it's like a me versus me type of sport to the max.
Right.
Whereas like if I'm on a squad with 11 people on the field, I mean, I could kind of say, well, he missed his block, and that's why. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if you're on a basketball team, like, it wasn't that great of a pass. I mean, like, he kind of hit me in the wrong spot, so therefore,
not my fault.
I couldn't execute. That's on him.
Right.
I mean, but in that one, it's purely like, it's just like
either
you do it the way it's supposed to be done to the fullest, or you did it.
Right.
And there's no other look around.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's hard to hide.
Yeah, it is hard to hide in that type of sport. No, that's pretty cool that you got that well-rounded type of experience, man.
Yeah.
So do you work with like lots of athletes now? Do you get athletes coming through the door, or is it more general pop?
I would say about 70% general population, and we get 30% athletes. From time to time, we'll get some pro athletes here and there. But I would say 70% general population.
What do you think some of the biggest hurdles are working with like the general population, operating this style of like clinic? What do you think?
I think the biggest thing is getting people to realize that something can be done.
Yeah.
Because we're stuck in a society where everyone is just okay, like feeling the way that they feel, or they've gotten I call it bad advice from people that say like, oh, it's just old age, or just take these meds, or just come back in 6 weeks and then let's see how it feels. And it's a really passive approach.
Yeah.
And I think that people need to, number one, realize that there is an option. And so that there is an option. And number two, is it important to you enough to actually do something about it? And just to realize that it's not a magic pill. I'm not going to give you an injection. You are, like our hands-on stuff, I do really feel it helps, but it takes a relationship between me and you that you have to do something active about it. And I think that in addition to that, people have to realize that they don't have to do like a million, like tons and tons and tons of exercise. I think they need to realize that we're willing to work with them and what their lifestyle is. So if you're willing to give me a little bit, I'll work with that. And then hopefully you start to feel better, and then you want a little bit more. So you're willing to give a little bit more. But it really comes down to that number one, like making a decision to do something.
No, man, that's a great point. And I think that it kind of lends to this idea that I really hope that we're going down, which is this path of like people just owning their own happiness.
Right.
And like owning their own lives. You know what I mean? Because there's an ownership that I know whenever I injured myself and I went to UPMC, right? And I went so I had like a labrum tear, and they were like, look, you got to do this work, man. It's not surgery time, but you got to work through this. Right. And they gave me a stack of dittos, and I lost them within a matter of like, maybe 20 minutes, right?
Right.
And I tried to, hold on to a couple things, canopies, and work the, but still, it was something that I didn't take ownership of.
Yeah.
But like, of course, as you get older, I was young and dumb then. Get a little bit older, and you're like, I should work on that because I don't want to have this, I want to have full range of motion, right?
Right.
Because it allows me to do certain things that allows me to have fun. And I think as we kind of get down that path a little bit further,
yes,
and some hope kind of enters in, and people say, I'm not as discouraged by my injury.
Right.
Yeah, I think I think that's a great point about that's what the general pop is missing.
And I think what we do here is, and that goes along those lines of communication. Because we are one-on-one, we have the time to build a relationship. And when you were younger, and like, let's say you didn't do these exercises, and
I
if
didn't,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then, let's say I was your guy,
Yeah.
but then we started to really talk about like, okay, what is this truly limiting you from?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I'm not able to run my 40 the way I want to. And what does that ultimately mean? It means the guy's going to catch you and take you down.
Yep.
So is this going to affect the scholarship? Is this going to affect your ability to potentially make the pros or whatnot? So it's really diving a little bit deeper in not just the facade of, oh, it just hurts. It does have a true impact on you. And the same thing with the athletes that we see here or the general people. It's finding that underlying, like finding your why or whatnot. But
hey, it matters though, right?
Yeah, but you have to have the honest and the tough conversation with them to know that, to find out what they truly want. And number two, like, I'm here to help you. I'm not here to BS you. So, like, if you're willing to work, I'm willing to work with you. So let's do this.
Do you feel like whenever you have those convos, patients are open? Did they kind of share?
I think they appreciate it. I think as people, if we come about it in an honest way, not in a condescending way, like, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people that talk that way.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, look, what do you want? And I've seen thousands and thousands of patients and athletes or in regular people, and usually what they say in the first round or the second round is not the truth.
That's true.
It's really, they're just kind of beating around the bush and this and that. And then it's like let's say someone can't lift in a gym anymore.
Yep.
And it's like, oh yeah, my shoulder hurts. It's like, why do you want to lift? It's like, oh, it keeps me healthy. And I'm like, and then you start to dive in, and it's like, no, it's like, I don't have a girlfriend. I want to look better. I want to do this. But if you never kind of found out those little things, they just go in this spiral because they're continuing not to lift. And then aesthetically, they're not going to feel as good. And then they go in this rabbit hole of crap.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, let's get to know you. Let's get down to the underlying issue so we can work together and get you back there in baby steps. But like I said, I'm dedicated to you. Let's make this work as long as you're willing to do the same thing.
Man, just from being in like marketing and sales, we always try to, market towards the why. Like what's those real motivations behind what people are looking at, whatever product or service that we're offering at the time.
Right.
Because the stuff that's on the surface, and you see people do this really well in some of these commercials where they're like, it could be like a Coke commercial, but they have a father handing his son a Coke. As if it's all about this shared moment. Nothing to do with drinking like a whole bunch of sugar water.
Right.
But it's all about trying to find those real reasons, right? I mean, so to even take it a step further, then I guess, what's some issues that you're seeing in healthcare that maybe there's some things that maybe you wish that as a nation we were kind of moving towards, or any other thoughts there?
I think it is moving in the direction of preventative care instead of sick care, but I would say it's still heavily on the sick care side.
Yeah.
With one, there's so many pharmaceuticals. There's so many, there's pharmaceuticals. There's the way insurance works nowadays. It's not really about quality. It's all about quantity. So
yeah, it's a volume game at its purest, right?
And like, if you're still in insurance and physical therapy, and let's say insurance cuts you 10% this year, now you have to see 10% more people.
That's a good point.
To make the same amount of money to not only for yourself but to pay your physical therapist. And it's just, I don't foresee reimbursement getting higher moving forward. So instead of trying to play the insurance game, me personally, it's how do I play the best quality game? How do I give you the best quality to give you the best results in the shortest amount of time so you're happy? Because I think there is a market out there for people that want that. And, that's unfortunately what I see happening with healthcare.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, well, I would love to see that whole movement to kind of really take hold, man, of preventive care, because, it just saves heartache down the line.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, instead of walking around with the bed, knee, and then you have to go get knee replacement surgery or something like that.
Correct.
I mean, if you can jump on that, man, I mean, it just
right.
saves some heartache,
And and that's education.
Yeah.
That's education. You talked about marketing, and unfortunately, the thing that pushes people to make a decision sometimes is pain.
Yeah.
Right. And then what I say is, pain pushes you, but the vision, the goal, is what pulls you towards it.
That's a great point.
So, like, yeah, and from the marketing standpoint, it's like, yeah, we talk about pain a lot, this and that, but truly, when they come in here, it's like, no, let's talk about what's going to get you there. Because let's say we get you out of pain, that doesn't necessarily mean the problem has been corrected. Mm-hmm. Like, if if a doctor puts a cortisone injection in your shoulder, it goes away, but it didn't correct the underlying problem. So, from a prevention standpoint, now that you feel better, we've gotten you to this point, let's make sure that you can take care of yourself so you don't have to come back. And, that's like from a longevity standpoint of a client coming over and over again, it doesn't fit that mold. Mm-hmm. But I think sooner or later, that message gets out there that this place can deliver you this type of care. So...
Yeah. It makes me. I'm getting ideas even as you talk, man, just about different messaging because it's right. True. Like a lot of times, a lot of my clients, they leave with the whole got pain movement, and I get that because general pop is like they're walking around like, oh, this hurts, Mm-hmm. So this might get me through the door. But I think, like you're saying, there is a movement that's happening, kind of subtle underground. It's not going to be on TV commercials. It's not going to be on your mainstream spots. It's more the underground podcast like myself,
There we go.
And just a whole bunch of weird guys just talking, right? I mean, but it's like, but I think there is an underbelly movement where it's like people are like, look, I know that just getting out of pain, taking some pain pills, cortisone injections, whatever it may be, that's temporary stuff, and I'll be back through, right?
Right.
So if we can start having conversations that speak to, hey, this is long haul, this is long game. Get you here once, and then I might not see you ever again, but hopefully tell a friend.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's how it's going to win out.
Yeah, definitely.
Takes time though.
Yeah. It's the long game.
Yeah.
And then it's okay that someone doesn't want to come now. Maybe they're not ready. But as long as, from a marketing standpoint, as long as you stay in front of them and they know that you care or you follow up and this and that, hopefully when that time comes, that they're like, man, like I need to do something.
Yeah.
Or let's say they go to an insurance-based place and then they get subpar care.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, I'm wasting so much time in this place. I'm not getting better. I remember the crew at HealthFit really cared, so maybe I'll give them a shot. Mm-hmm. And that's how I kind of look at it, because it's not a matter of if you're a client now. It's just about when.
Yeah.
So.
I like it, man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's that marketing right there.
Yeah,
right?
I can tell, man. I mean, Doc, you should really do some YouTube and maybe podcasting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you have a great message to kind of talk about, man. There's probably so much. I saw some of the content that you have online already around like exercises and whatnot.
Right.
Are you guys going to ramp up some more of those? You got some more of that? Some more heat coming?
Depends on time.
Not right now.
We got to make the time. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you got a baby coming too. So
it's a little busy.
It's a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
A couple different businesses.
Yeah.
Talk about the whole working with different type of sports teams. Mm-hmm. I mean, is it something that? I mean, I'm not gonna make you say anything negative here, but is it something that like has really benefited your business, or something that you just kind of had passion for doing?
No, when the LA Football Club approached me, I'm going on my second year, so 2 years ago, and the business was doing okay, and my mentor approached me. He goes, "Hey, they're looking for someone. Are you interested?" And initially I said no, because I was like, I have this business. You're in the business, you're trying to work on it, but you're in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I don't know if I can stay out of the red if I'm not here, and this and that. And then it really came down to, like I said, I was talking about making a decision. So sitting down with your loved ones and from the business side, looking at the numbers and looking at the staff that we had, like, could my wife and I count on this team to work their butts off, knowing that there's a bigger vision of not only making a salary or whatnot, but this is one of the little places out there that can do the kind of work that we do. Mm-hmm. On the other side was looking, I was like, no one knew who the LA Football Club was. And I was like, okay, MLS soccer, it's a new team. Magic's one of the owners, I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. Right. So I gave it a year and I was like, okay, let's dedicate myself to this. And, as far as I'll talk about the business side first. And I think the past 2 years since I've transitioned over, I've learned to be a better leader and a better coach, and to be able to look at the business a little bit more objectively and help put people in the right places.
Really?
So
just from being with the actual team, you're saying, just from seeing how they operate a little bit, and
that, and just being away, because it's like, I think when you're in it all the time, like if I'm here at the clinic all the time, then I get caught up in the minutia. Like, okay, and it becomes like I'm hovering over them. But now it was really kind of me letting go a bit and letting them do their thing. And then you met our office manager, like moving her up, and office managing and taking a hold of the marketing, and really having her report to me what the numbers say. And then again, like I have the business coach, so learning those lessons on what do those numbers even mean. So now that I don't treat here, whenever I come here every day, after I'm done with the soccer team, and I'm just with my team, like whether it's coaching or if they have any questions, and what I take from the soccer team at least is like, we're on the cutting edge of everything. So how do we get this player back on the pitch as fast as possible in an ethical, safe manner?
Yep.
So taking those lessons, imparting them with our team here, just helps everybody. And then from the marketing standpoint, like I don't think I've marketed it as much as I could.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. I was about to say, because even just looking online, I had to do a little bit of digging. You know?
Right.
Yeah. Was that kind of intentional?
Yeah, in the beginning, number one, I just want to do a good job.
Yeah.
And then I'm with a team, and it's like, yeah, I'm the head PT. I could say all of this stuff.
Sure.
But the proof is in the pudding. Let me do a good job first. And after the first year, I think we had the best record for a expansion team. So I was like, okay, we're doing a good job. And then, obviously it's not just me. It's we have a really good team there. And this year we won the Supporters Shield, which is the best record in the league already. If we win this, there's a couple records going on. So our MVP right now, he's tied the highest goals in history. Wow. So if he scores one more goal, he beats it. If we win, we have the most points in history. If we have 3 goals, we have the most goals in history.
Wow.
And this is our second season. And so like if I'm reflecting on what the club has done, what the soccer club has done, it's really it's the basics. It's good culture, number one, and good people and good mentality. If you put all of those together and guys that are willing to work for one another, then your chances of having a good result are better. And then I really think that has bled itself into how I look at this team. And like I said, it's like it was me learning how to be a better leader. And so here I'm the leader at the office. Over there I'm a team member.
Yeah.
So I really have to. I really play 2 roles at the same time. I'm still one of the head people there, but at the soccer team. But I know what it's like on the other side. So like being appreciated and making sure that, like you're appreciated and grateful, right? So how do we create an environment like that for everybody? And things are just going to work out.
I think that's cool to have that dual role,
right.
To kind of give you that proper balance, because I've been at the head of, different movements, and like you said, sometimes you get so wrapped up in just trying to...
You forget.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, you forget how it is just to be a member. And then, but whenever you're just a member, you forget how it is, all those different, tasks and responsibilities. I mean, heavy is the crown, right?
Right.
And so it's like having that dual role kind of gives you that proper balance, I'd imagine.
Because like at the soccer team, like they have money. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, okay, we want something, and then let's say they don't have the budget. It wasn't in the initial yearly budget, and then let's say some of the guys are bitching and moaning because we're not getting it, and I'm like, well, I see it from both sides.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, like I would want it too, but if this is kind of what you set ahead of time, again, it's not set in stone, but you need to have a really good argument of why you want this thing. And like there was a piece of equipment that, this is a story with the club. There's a expensive piece of equipment that was loaned out to us as a trial. I felt that it did really good things for our players. And then,
do you mind talking about it or no? You don't have to.
Yeah, I won't talk about the specific
no
thing, but like I felt that it did a really good job helping our guys. And then, so once they had to take the thing back, I'm like, man, I think this thing would really help us. And I put myself
on the line,
and I'm like, okay, like what would I do if, what would I want my employee to say to me?
Sure. And
I was like, okay, so I basically wrote a whole proposal, and I go, and to be objective as possible, because now you're going to be presenting it to the owners. So the owners are the ones that have the money. Like if I'm my business, my employee wants me to buy something, like this is what it does. This is how it's helped us. This is not only from the individual athlete standpoint, but in the global part of it. Like, okay, let's say X player makes $1 million a year. So every game that this person misses is $150,000. You're essentially losing $150,000 every time this player misses a game.
It's a nice pitch, man.
Yeah, they're not available. So with this machine that we're trying to buy is a lot less than that. So does it make sense? And then can you approach it in a way that it's non-confrontational? It's like, it's just putting the facts out there. And
objective,
yeah. And then like, look, this is what I feel. And then so that was kind of on the table for a long time. And then our best player gets hurt. And I was like, I get a little nudge. Next day it was bought.
Oh,
but
really?
yeah, but if I hadn't put in the legwork initially, it would have never gotten done in that type of manner. So, it's just really stepping up to the plate whenever it's there. Don't let things linger. Like, if you have a goal, just kind of work for it at that point. So
1,000%, man. It's interesting because I'm working with about 30 plus squads, right? And we sell capital equipment to them. It's like a form of shockwave therapy, but it's like, literally, it's one of those things where it's not good enough when I talk to my guys just to kind of say, oh, we're the best. I'm like, that's, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Especially as a sales and marketing guy, you know, of course we're the best because that's why we're working here. Right. and this is how we keep the lights on and everything else. But it's like giving a really good conversation to why and understanding the other people in the market and what their value props are as well.
Right.
Like not trying to shortcome, us, but being honest about what they bring to the table as well. And just about being knowledgeable. Right. I mean, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Cause a lot of people that I work with, it's tough for them to have that conversation with the owners. Cause you're putting your neck out there.
Right. To
say, hey, get this. Jason told me to get it, and it did or didn't do. You know what I mean?
Right.
What it was supposed to do.
I better work.
exactly. And there be all, man. I mean, so that's pretty cool that you're able to kind of outline it because you're an actual business owner too.
Yeah, and it's really just the understanding that it itself is not going to be the magical cure.
Right. It's
how it fits in with your strategies, your mentalities, your overall way of looking at things. Right. How does it fit in? Because they ultimately pay me for my mind and my hands. So how do I take this machine and blend it?
Yeah.
So to make it better.
1,000%, man. It's funny because one of the gripes I have about my industry is that a lot of us get into it and we think that, this will do it all. Grows hair back.
Right. I didn't get that from my dad.
Cuter, I mean, like people throw all these claims. I'm like, man, look, it's so much cooler if we just said this is a great hammer, and you need a hammer to actually build a house. It's not the only tool though in the toolbox,
right?
I mean, like, and maybe you just got great paint, and that's cool. People like paint,
right?
Right? But it's nice to be like have a really objective conversation with people about what's going on throughout the industry,
right?
And that's something I kind of trying to force throughout my own industry
Yeah,
as well.
but
man.
I think they respect you, a lot
Hopefully.
more if you talk in that manner. So.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, because it is. I think about it kind of like this too. It's like it's your name behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if we bump into each other down the street, because I live locally, and I don't want you to be like, Joe, he's crap, man. I'm gonna avoid this dude.
Right.
If we see each other,
No, you're all right. You're all right.
I'm like Colorado or something, man. Well, so man, we are about to wrap up. But any other things that you have going on for your clinic? Any other future movements that you guys are rolling out?
No, I think for my office it's just for me personally is to continue to develop our team and to do the best job possible for our community. I think that's our ultimate goal.
Love it, man.
Yeah.
Dude, Pasadena is one of my favorite places in LA. Come from the East Coast. I tell people LA's a wild city. It has it's the most beautiful city I could find and some of the ugliest parts that you'll see throughout the country. But boy, Pasadena is like a crown jewel to me though, man.
Right.
Yeah, man. I mean, so please tell everybody how to find you if they're local, how they can reach out to you guys.
You can always look at our website for HealthFit Physical Therapy and Chiropractic. The web address is healthfitinc.com. And then social media wise, it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, /HealthFitLA. You can always give us a call too, 626-365-1380.
The phones still work here, huh? That's good, man.
Yeah, they do.
How about like what's the latest one out now? TikTok. You guys on TikTok at all?
No.
Don't waste your time.
My cousin
Yeah.
is actually the head of safety
Get out of here.
for TikTok. So
Head
he
of
has a
safety?
hard, or like,
He has to watch out for people doing crazy stuff on there?
Yeah.
I bet there's so much ridiculous.
because he used to be with Twitter.
Oh my
And
goodness.
they brought him on, and he said the stuff that goes on these social media channels is crazy.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, like predators and all. I don't know if this goes
Ah,
on, but
yeah,
like
yeah.
predators and stuff like that. It's insane.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm actually glad you mentioned that. So dude, we're out, man. Call.
Yeah, stay away from predators. Yeah.
Stay away from predators. That's a nice way to wrap up the actual combo. Dr. Jason, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, though, man. Really appreciate your time, too. And what you guys are doing for Pasadena, man.
All right, appreciate it, man.
All right, man, we're out.
96% of B2B buyers want content with more input from industry thought leaders. Launch a podcast and invite influencers on your show to position your brand as an industry leader. Learn more at salesculture.work.